are back, shot callers, with Stefan Labas for episode 4 of Discover, Design, and Delight in Your Own Personal Masterpiece. In the previous episode, we learned about balancing the left and the right brain using both breathing and physical exercises as a preparation to tap into the very, very important unconscious mind. Stefan explained to us that the conscious mind could be represented by a mosquito in size to the subconscious mind by a football field. Now, that was quite mind blowing to me. And we actually recorded that yesterday. This morning, I was taking my little cat to have a very important surgery, and I was listening to a Glennon Doyle podcast, who I love, who, if you listen to me regularly, you know this. And I want Stefan to hear this. She was interviewing Martha Beck, who I think might be a psychologist. So I have to follow up on that. But anyway, listen, Stefan.
Your cognitive mind is processing about 40 bits of information per second. Your whole nervous system is processing 11 million bits of information per second. I've heard even 180 million. So, okay, here are all the sides. They're in your head. Now drop into the body. What?
Is that crazy? That's the exact statistic that you gave yesterday.
Yeah.
In our discussion about how powerful the subconscious mind is to the conscious mind.
Yeah.
So I almost had to pull the car over when I was like, whoa, we just talked about that yesterday. So I thought that was
true. It's true what Stefan was saying.
Well, I believed you, but it's somehow affirming and somehow like, I don't know, it's exciting for me because I'm a curious person. And so when I hear something again, the day after I just heard it, it's just sort of reinforces the idea that we're on the right track with this discussion, and really getting a handle on the subconscious is just so important for whatever it is you want to achieve in your life. And that could be just wanting to sit on the sofa and watch Netflix all day if that's your goal. But whatever the goal is, you've got to get the subconscious on board. So yeah, I mean, I guess that explains why so many good intentions get thwarted. And you dropped some what I call wow bombs on us yesterday. So if you're listening now, please make sure you listen to episode 3, because that will set you up really well for episode 4. And that is basically to kind of look a little bit at fear and how fear drives us. Then how Stefan learned and applied some principles from Eastern medicine, Eastern philosophy into his current process. And then he's going to run us through a super learning session, which is something I'd never heard of until yesterday. And hopefully you've also prepared your visualization statement, and then we'll maybe slide into just highlighting what's going to happen in episode 5. So it's going along very quickly. So Stefan, give us your advice intake sort of storyline around fear.
Well, first of all, fear has 2 sides, right? It's like in Chinese medicine, the yin and yang, or day and night, and tension and relaxation. Everything, or the coin has 2 sides. So everything on the world has actually 2 sides. So also fear has 2 sides. One side of fear, it's a very powerful side. Fear can be a transforming power who makes you grow out of your natural power, that you become much more power than you ever had before in your life. Maybe we know that also from people who are in life scary situations, who could develop so much power, and the trigger was maybe a fear situation, and they could develop a lot of power. So that's one side of the coin, is a lot of power can come through fear. And the other side of the coin is that fear can also produce a lot of negative energies, as we say in Chinese medicine, or also negative chemicals, as scientists have proven when measuring all your body, your chemicals, your blood, your hormones. Fear can produce negative chemicals. So fear has these 2 sides, a good side and a bad side. Now the question is, of course, so how are we dealing with that, and who is responsible to decide what's fear going to make with me or to me? Is it going to destroy me? Is it going to make me weak? Is it weaken my immune system? Is it weaken my hormones? Is it weaken my metabolism? Is it weaken my health and my happiness? Or is it going to strengthen it? And this is something which is in Western medicine, as we heard yesterday about the subconscious, the power of the subconscious, and in Eastern medicine, the power of energy work. It's about similar, because in Western medicine, we know everything we see. So fear by itself, again, fear by itself, it's neither negative nor positive. Fear by itself, it's just something that we project on that topic, what fears us. So it's more our inner picture that we make up and what we make out of it. So now if our subconscious mind has to a topic, a very bad memory, a painful memory, then we see that topic as fear, as a negative part. If our subconscious mind has a positive memory to something, then we can see that fear as something that helps us to transform and develop more power.
Could that be like, let's say we live in Switzerland on Lake Zurich, and you may have experienced this with your children when you take them down to the lake in the summer, and they might want to jump off the highest board into the lake. And of course, as they're young, they see the bigger kids do this every summer, and then eventually they want to go do that, and they're scared. Most of them. I mean, most of the time there's some anxiety. Of course, there's different children. Some are a bit more daredevils than others. But I know I saw that with my children, and eventually each one of them did it. And so, is that a good example of where fear turned out to kind of give you liberation and kind of show you that you can kind of, with certain safety precautions, right? There shouldn't be any children underneath you that you jump on, and all that sort of thing. That's could be a good side of fear.
It's absolutely. I mean, fear. It's also fear gives you a certain awareness of a situation, so that you should not jump into every situation without thinking and with no fear. If you would not have fear, you would jump in everything, and you would maybe hurt yourself, or you would hurt others, or you would even kill yourself, because there was no. It's like in the car, the speed limit. So if you don't know how fast you're driving, then you don't know. Then you don't have this feedback. So fear, it's good for that you have respect for things, and that you're aware of, oh, hey, this is maybe could be a difficult situation. So it's a good thing on that perspective. And good is if you can. Because life also starts, as we say, and as maybe the most people of us have also made that experience sometimes, but also sometimes life starts out of our comfort zone. And sometimes our comfort zone is the little fear, it's also a fear comfort zone, where we think like, oh no, my God, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that, I shouldn't jump off that 1 meter jumping board on the swimming pool. And so if you do something that scares you and that gives you fear, and if you do it let's say like in a controlled way,
right,
which is not which it can't kill you, but it's also more as you would do by yourself. Then it gives you power straight away. It gives you power, and you realize, wow, I could do that. It brings you self-confidence. So going into fear, I call it controlled fear, controlling fear, or trying to go into situations which scares you, which produces fear, but trying to do this in a playful way, which is no harm to yourself or to others, but still trying to expand your inner mental
comfort zone,
and doing that more regularly, without being, I mean, the reality, it's probably that some people, as we all know, some people are not scared of nothing. You know, some people climb up 2,000-meter high mountains without any safety security ropes. I mean,
that's a bit,
it seems
there's
for
definitely
us,
some risk there.
it's definitely some risk there. So obviously those guys or those people doesn't have any fear control mechanism in them at all. And other people are scared of everything. The little things comes up and they're afraid of, and they produce fear of this.
You know,
if you're afraid of something, then you produce fear, and the fear can either block you or it can transform you.
I think if it's possible, I'd like to tie in this from a woman's perspective, because a vast majority of people listening will be women, not all. I do have my male followers, which I'm grateful for, because they're husbands or sons or brothers or, you know, fathers. So we definitely want men to, you know, sort of inform themselves on some of these issues that hold back women. And I think women are oftentimes held back by, you know, I feel more the emotional fears, what society might think of us, what society will they judge us if I decide to let my hair go gray, or if I decide to get Botox, right? I mean, oftentimes there's a lot of fear around beauty and how we age and things like that. So I mean, not that there's an answer for that, but maybe if women just think about fear in that context, what makes you happy, you know, and is that fear really a well-placed fear, or is that some other random outside thing that's being put on you in society? And, you know, along that would be on the financial side of it, is, you know, fear of, let's say, approaching your partner to say, you know, I'd like to know how our money is invested. I'd like to know where all the bank accounts are. And it's not because I don't trust you. It's just because I actually feel it's important for me to understand what's our risk. Are we invested in a way that's, you know, supporting our long-term goals or our midterm goals? And, you know, again, it comes back to confidence, right? Which is why education is at the heart of this, whether it's financial education, investment education, physical education, emotional, spiritual, those things that we kind of touched upon lightly yesterday. So I just wanted to bring that into the conversation, maybe just in a mindfulness way, that this isn't necessarily about deciding to go run a marathon or something. You know, this can be about really these micro judgments or micro societal expectations that create some sort of low grade fear about a woman, oftentimes a woman, it's not always women, of course, but prevents women from going out and really just, you know, saying, screw it. I want to live this way. This is how I want to live. This is what makes me feel good. Anyway, that's a little bit of I'll step off my soapbox now.
Yeah.
English term. The English term.
This is very true, and it's right. So maybe I want to explain. I want to give some concrete ideas here also, and not just talking.
Yes.
Philosophically and spiritually, which I like to do, but then still people would like to have some meat on the bone.
We want action. I want to walk out of here with action items.
Yeah, to know. Okay, and now what? Because I know this already. So what should I do now?
Exactly.
So on one side is we need to be aware of that how we are seeing fear could be consciously or subconsciously, and if it's consciously, then we're aware of that. So if something scares you and you're like, oh my God, oh, that scares me, then it's consciously. Yes. That's the fear, which is a good fear, which you're aware of, which is important to recognize things. But then there is a fear deeper in your subconscious, which we have learned it has a lot of power. And the fear that's in your subconscious, something that you have an experience that you have had in your past, which made this fear as like a stone, a blockage in your system, and you are not aware of that, so that you think like, no, I'm not scared of nothing. I don't have fear in my life. And you still have it somewhere deeper inside, which also holds you back from achieving what you want in your life, whatever it is. Either you want to be more happy, you want to be more successful, you want to have more money, you want to be more healthy, more whatever that is, it can hold you back from that. So it's important. And for that, I have the two systems. I have the Western system from the Western philosophy and from the Far Eastern. And I start with the Western philosophy. So first of all, it's like we need to face our fear. We need to give it, it's Western. We need to face our fear. We need to give it a picture. We need to write things down. Because if you just make it up in your mind, then it's just not concrete. So what I do in my workshops with executives one-on-one mostly, because it's very private, that topic. It's very private. So we take the points and we say like, okay, so what scares you the most, or what you fear? Where is your fear part in your life? What are the topics? And then we take out 1, 2, or 3 which we are aware of. Let's say something which is maybe not unusual. Money. Let's keep it on money. And I've had this with people who had tremendous amount of money on the bank account, a huge amount of money of bank account, but the fear, that really a strong fear of them is that they lose all the money and they get bankrupt. Even they had millions and millions and millions of dollars on the bank account, but they fear, the deep fear inside is that they lose all the money, they can't control the money, and they lose it all and they get bankrupt. So that's really, and that's a fear which is real, you know. So okay, you're afraid of that you're going to lose all your money. So the fear point is money. And now the first of all, it's defining it, what it is that you fear of. The second point is where we go in is the point of describe me a little bit what makes you afraid exactly. Describe a little bit the point of why is that the fear point of view. And then we go in that the why, the reason why. It's always the very important ones, as we learned yesterday in the goal setting. Also the reason why behind something, it's very important for people to understand afterwards how it's not about that you want to say someone, hey, you don't have to be afraid or have fear of the money because you have so much money on your bank account. If for them fear it's about that, then the fear it's real. So but by going and writing down the points of, okay, what exactly makes me afraid of that situation, why I'm in fear of that money point. And then you let people write down these points of, okay, because when I was a child, my family never had money and we lived always short on money, and we never had money, and we never had money to go on the holidays. We never had money to go anywhere. My parents always told me, oh, money is bad, or money
they
is
fought over it. It was a source of, perhaps fights for someone's parents or something like that. So
exactly.
Negative.
So then it becomes a negative belief inside of you, because if you hear things over and over again, it starts to form a belief, and either that belief is positive or it's negative. And now in the first 7 years of your childhood, there your subconscious mind is open and it sucks everything in. So if you hear something in your childhood all the time, over and over again, it becomes a program inside of you. And that program runs you all the time. And every time it becomes a little complicated, stressful, then that program pops up and starts to work and produces that fear, that really deep, strong fear. So,
isn't it funny how many of us are running around with a 7-year-old mind making decisions for us? Subconsciously, right? 7, 8, something like that.
It happens to all of us.
I know.
From time to time, and we need to be, when you do the coaching education, as I did, then you're going to fear, you're going to search for everything, and all your fears that you had in your childhood, you're going to face them and bring it up and being aware of them. And sometimes even I'm 53 now, when I'm under stress and I mean, because nobody's perfect, right? And when certain things something pops up on me and brings me back in the state when I was maybe 10, 12, 7, I don't know, and lets me act as an adult with the mind or a reaction of a 7-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And of course,
Crazy.
this reaction is not appropriate for a 53-year-old man,
Yeah.
but it has to do with this subconscious program mind. So back to fear. So
Yeah.
now you have the fear, it's money. You are afraid of that in your life because of all your topics. You can write them all down. Maybe there are 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20. It takes, if I do it in a workshop, it takes always a while because people are not
They're not
aware
tapped
of
in,
that.
are they? They're not.
Yeah, they're not
in.
tapped in. They say like, yeah, I don't know, what am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you need to dig a little bit. Okay, so
Sure.
if you could imagine, what could you imagine? And tell me more about that. How does it feel? Describe some situations that happens in your past. Describe some situations. Then you bring out some topic points of that. Why does that money fears you really? That's the second point. It's about awareness here. And the third point is you go into that, okay, now let's face the fear and now let's paint the darkest picture you can.
Yeah.
So what happens if that comes reality, what you're afraid of? You lose all your money, you're on the street, for example. And now what?
Right.
And go into the deepest black hole and go into that hole mentally and also emotionally. Really go into, feel that, okay, that's hard, that's really hard. You go in there, but you need to dive into that mentally and physically in that feeling of this. What happens? What is the worst case that can happen if that comes reality and comes true? Yeah. So you dig into that. You describe me that feeling. You describe me your thoughts. What happens? What happens there? And then you go out again and you take the bigger picture again and you start to become aware of, hey, okay, am I going to die if that happens? Mm-hmm. This is the first question. Am I going to die if that happens? Most probably, no, I'm not. And do I have to sell my car? Yes, I have. Do I have to sell my house? Yes, maybe. Does my wife or my husband leaves me? Maybe, because he thinks you're a loser. It can happen. Your partner can leave you. You have to sell your house. You have to sell your car.
Not very enlightened partner, but yes, it's possible.
Yeah, it could be like.
Could be. The reality is that wouldn't even happen, right? The reality is that you might have a friend's sofa you could sleep on or a family member.
Yeah, maybe, but you need to paint the worst picture. You come out of that whinging, that me person, you know what I mean? If I say me, it's like complaining about everything, complaining about all the others and about
very
everything.
Self-centered view.
Self-centered of, this is because of my parents, this is because of my this is because of that. So you come out of that and you come into an energy which says like, okay, hey, what have I done in my past which was very good and which I'm very proud of? Mm-hmm. I have solved that. I have a high degree in education. I opened my own business. Mm-hmm. I opened a family. I bought a house. I bought an expensive car. I did all that. How did I did that? I've had power. What kind of power did I have to do that? I made a clear decision of, okay, I don't want to live on the street. I want to live in that house and I want to drive that car and I want to have my family and my wife or my husband. I don't want to lose them. So that gives you the power to come back into the reality and realizing, hey, wow, I may be afraid of that, but and so what? I take action. So you start and go into an action, into an action phase. Because
is that number 4?
That's number action? 4.
Okay.
It's you take action and you take serious action. You kind of, as the American people say, like you're going to kick ass. They love to say, I hear that.
Kick ass and take names, we say.
Kick ass and take names. So really do something.
I don't know whose names we're taking, but
yeah. You really get into action. You come into action, you go out of fear, and I feel sorry for yourself. I have to get out in a bird's eye perspective, and I start to realize, do I need someone to help me? Do I need another strategy? How do I, when it's about money?
What's my action step?
what's my action to that? How much money do I really have? How much does it last? What do I need to do to keep the money and make more money? And whatever all those actions are, you go into that and making an action plan.
Yeah. Okay.
You're coming
And
out
then
of you're coming out of that fear. So you transform, and by doing that, you're transforming that fear feeling into a power feeling, which
Yeah.
gives you strength, power, and clearness to do something what you have to do.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And I guess now we're going to marry that with the Eastern philosophy,
Yeah.
or an Eastern approach as well, which or maybe it's an overlay. I don't know how best to describe that physically.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the Eastern and the Western mythologies
Like
or
a mesh,
concepts, or
right?
they're a match sometimes,
Yeah.
and sometimes they're a match. But anyway, I wanna explain a little bit how the Eastern or like the Buddhism way, how the Buddhism way or the Eastern way is more dealing with things like fear, anger, sorrow, those feelings who are, as we described, who can mess you all up, inside. And especially if those fear are inside of you, and if they're piling up, the danger, fear or anger or rage things are the little things that you have every day, since weeks, since months, since year, and piling up in your body like a big pile. And so that can screw up your whole system. And for Eastern medicine or in Buddhism, it's about perspective and awareness. So that's why in Buddhism or in Far Eastern practice, you're always practicing a lot of being in that moment with your mind and your body, nurturing that moment nurturing the moment now. Because what happens if you're in the moment right now with your mind? You're in a state of relax. You're in a state of ease. It's not that problems are not anymore here, but you're here complete with your breath, with your inhale, with your exhale, and you're here at the present moment. And at the present moment, nothing matters. It doesn't matter what you have experienced last day, last week, last year. It doesn't matter what will happen in an hour, in a day, next year. It doesn't matter. It only matters the quality of the present moment. Because in Eastern medicine, you say, that's the only thing you have, my friend. The present moment. Everything else is imagination from your mind. In the future, futurizing, or in the back, memorizing things and don't let them go.
I heard something somewhere that said people who live in the past are more likely to be depressed because you can't change the past, and people who are living in the future tend to suffer from anxiety, worry about what might happen. And I tend to be on the second one. I tend to worry about what might happen, and that's something that I'm trying to use meditation for specifically, is to bring myself back into the moment and just not spend so much time worrying about what could happen, because I probably can't control it anyway. But it's hard. It's really hard, but I'm on that path. So I'm a keen student, but I definitely fall into the camp of worrying about what could happen.
Well, we're all students, I'm also a student. I'm practicing every day. That's why students are practicing every day. There's a practitioner students, and there are the students who are not practicing. And we should become practitioner students, like people who are training things every day. And now it's nothing to say about thinking in the future and thinking in the past. It's nothing to say about that. This is not right or wrong, not at all. It's just the amount of that, how much you're in the past, how much you're in the future, and the quality of time that you give yourself, and that you train yourself in the capability to come to the present moment. And how hard that sounds very easy, but this is very complicated. And how complicated it is, it's easy if you try to meditate, and most people are shocked, like, okay, no, this is not a method for me, because my mind, it's all over the place. So they can't focus on one thing. So that's why I teach them through a theory. But anyway, back to the fear. What does fear happen to do with the present moment? If you practice the training into the present moment regularly, in that present moment, in that deep state of relaxing, you have no fear.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't have fear and being in the present moment at the same time. You can't be relaxed, deeply relaxed, and have fear at the same time about something. I practice this with people a lot about the breathing technique. So if you breathe a lot and bring you into the present moment and exercising that, it doesn't go quick. We need to know this, my friends. It can take you quite a journey. But if you practice that, if you learn that, it brings us always back into the present moment. And the present moment is the place where also the reality is.
In a sense of peace, I suppose.
In a sense of peace. And the second thing then, what we say in Eastern methodologies is like, fear, it's not your enemy. And that's a decision from inside. So if something makes you fear, it's not to reject that and makes that, push it away. And I don't want that. I don't want that feeling. I don't want that situation. I don't want this. I don't want that. Fear, it's not your enemy. Fear is something that wants to help you to see something and become aware of a situation.
To learning, you can learn something.
Our own reaction to that to makes that danger, but it's not the situation by itself. Fear is just something that pops up somewhere and wants to tell you, hey, my friend, have a look, have maybe a close look. And as more as it develops fear in you, maybe the more you have to take it in and watch it and being aware of it. Not to become more afraid, but to become more aware of it. And then the exercise through that is, if you start to breathe, if you start to practice your present moment methods, which I have 5, 6, or 7 of them, it's more about our perception. So if something fears us a lot or scares us a lot and produces fear, it's very close to us. So it's very big and huge. And if you start to breathe and training the present moment, it just goes further away and makes it smaller, you know? If now something is in front of your eyes, 2 centimeters, and it's huge like an elephant, and you breathe and train the present moment for minutes or for how long it takes, then you see it further away. And you are more aware of, hey, okay, that's scary, but it's not that scary. You know, it doesn't kill me. It doesn't blocks me from breathing. It doesn't produce lactic acid in my body. It doesn't block my immune system. It doesn't block everything. So you make it go further away.
One of the things that you wanted to touch upon today under the Eastern philosophy section is TCM and its impact on the organs. Is that a good time to talk about that?
Absolutely. It's absolutely a good time. So TCM is the short term for traditional Chinese medicine.
Okay.
My first contact with traditional Chinese medicine was a little weird, or let's say I was very skeptical. You know, I thought, like, come on, you know, this energy, you have to believe in it, and does it really do something? And you know, I was really skeptical, and I wanted to know, okay, does it make any sense or not? But I'll explain in the first series my physical breakdown that I had in the 90s. So I had to find something that helped my healthy and physical state to coming out of that, let's call it, burnout situation. It was. And it was the Chinese medicine. And not by that I studied the Chinese medicine and I want to understand how it works. I went to the doctors, the coaches, the trainers in Chinese medicine and told them, hey, what are my symptoms? Can you help me? Yes or no? And they said, yes, we can help you. We understand what you have. Let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, let's do that. I did all that and it really helped me. So my first contact was by not understanding what it was about. So by feeling how it felt to my health, my blood pressure went in the right section. My blood sugar level went into the right level because I had pre-diabetic form of
Mhm.
hypoglycemia. That's what they
Yeah.
could find out, which is a
Yep.
sugar level which goes very quick up and down, an
Yeah.
insulin problem.
Mhm.
So and with this method of the Chinese medicine, I could help all that healing in my body. And so from that point, I started to realize, hey, this medicine is not spiritual hocus pocus. You need to believe in it. You don't even have to believe in it, but if you do the things, that it really helps you. And in the education, I learned that everything we have, or this is the theoretical background of Chinese medicine or Eastern medicine, it's energy. Everything is energy. And what does it mean, energy? So this is a little hard to get in the beginning but it's a foundation. But energy, it's everything. So you can't see it, you can't grab it, you can touch it. You can't. And that's why for a lot of rational people, it's like, it's not true. It's only for them, it's only true what they can touch. But energy is the lowest form of our body, or the smallest form of our body. It's energy. That means like Nikola Tesla, the guy who did, not the guy who do
Right.
the Tesla
Not
car.
Elon Musk. Yeah.
Not Elon Musk who doing the Tesla cars. Nikola Tesla was a Serbian guy who went to the States, and he found he was searching about energy and electricity, and he found out that that everything which is around us are made of energy, and energy of frequencies. Electrofrequencies, like I need to count now, and with 7 O's behind, 0.0000000, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0.7 O's behind, and then one, it's out of nothing. Like waves, energy that flows. So if you take a cell in the body, which is one of the smallest part in your body, which our body is made out of 30 billion cells. 30 billion cells our body is made of. And if you look at one of those cells and want to see out of what it is, then it's out of nothing, and just a little bit, it's something solid. So everything what we have, everything which we are, it flows and it's in frequency. And now if this is difficult to grasp, so you can also think about a radio, for example, a radio. So you have somewhere a radio station, and you have somewhere a radio. So you have
the radio.
The radio. So now if you want to hear radio 24, you turn on your wheel, and then you get radio 24. If you want to change it to radio energy, so you turn the wheel and you got radio energy. But the radios are not connected with cables. So how you get this different music from a different channel? What is it about? It's waves, different waves who bring informations from one part to another part. The same thing is with your mobile. I can send you an SMS right now saying, hey, you're looking very great, you're amazing. And at the same time, you open your mobile and you receive that message. But our mobiles are not connected with a cable. And you can even be in Australia and you got this message. So how does that work? It's energy. It's energy that brings information from one side to another side, real informations. And that's what the foundation of energy is. And that's how our body works. So our body is made of 30 billion cells, and they're all energy. And every cell has a plus and a minus, like a battery. Every cell has a plus and a minus, like a battery. And every cell has produces volt, like electricity now I need to be careful that I'm saying it right, 0.7 volt, one cell, like 70 millivolt, they call it. I need to write it that I'm saying it right. Millivolt, 70 million millivolt has one cell, which is nothing, kind of. This is really like it's like nothing. Millivolt, it's nothing. Millivolt, you don't feel it. But the 30 billion cells together have about 3.5 billion volt.
Wow.
And 3.5 billion volt is a lot.
Mm.
And that's what our body is made of, energy and that power. So if you can channelize that power and work with it and bring it into the right direction, for example, through Qigong, we can use that energy into the right direction. A lot of electricity, it's for real. This is not an imagination. Scientists have found this out. They measured that. So you can check all that, what I'm saying to you. You can check it with Professor Bruce Lipton is a professor, is a scientist. He found that, he and others found that out. They measured that. So it's not an imagination and a spiritual believing in something. It's really measurable.
I believe this. I would have thought 10 years ago so that this was a bit, kooky, but the older I get, the more I learn. When we're only just learning about our own personal energy field, right? But absolutely. I was at a Halloween party this last October, and there was a woman there, and she took a metal key from a cabinet that belonged in the cabinet, and it wasn't her house, by the way. We were, somebody else's house, and she put the key into her hand. So a little metal key, old-fashioned looking key, and she flipped that key with her mind.
Yeah,
that's a form of energy, right? I don't know if she had, sort of could tap into it, and she did it more than once. And I was like, whoa, it was unbelievable. And so I think some people really know how to tap into this strong energy.
Exactly.
There's just no way she could have done it. It wasn't, she pulled it out of the cabinet. It wasn't a magic key sitting in the cabinet. It was just crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can see my interview with the CNN Money Switzerland. I gave an interview 4 years ago, and I did in this interview with the CNN Money Switzerland, which was in English, I did that example on the TV. So you can see me switching the key on my hand.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Metals. You did that. You do that as well. First of all, it's a great party trick, but also I was just like,
it's an energy. It's not hocus pocus. It's not Zauber. No. How do you say? It's not something.
An illusion. It's not an illusion.
It's not an illusion. It's real. It's your thoughts.
Gosh.
Your thoughts. If your thoughts, your conscious and your subconscious are aligned, synchronized, they believe the same thing, the frequency, and that produces electricity. Remember, 70 billion cells have this 3.5 billion volt. It's electricity, and electricity and metal work together. So that's why with your mind, you can turn the key in your hand, but only if your conscious and your subconscious mind going the energy in the right direction. So that means you cannot only think I will do this and not believing it. You need to believe it, and then you can do it. So whatever you believe, you can do, and you're able to do. You can heal yourself with your believing, or you can kill yourself with believing.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a health impact.
And in Chinese medicine, we work with that energy. And that energy in Chinese medicine, we have the concept that we have, or the 5 organs or the 5 symbols as an explanation concept. We have the 5 based on the season of the year. So we have spring, and spring, and the symbol of spring is green, and the organs are your liver. You like that? Exactly. Your organs are liver. We can have that later on.
What color? Okay.
Green.
What colors? Green is the green organs. Yeah.
The green color stands for spring, and is for the organ liver.
Okay.
Now every organ has a mental connection, because in Chinese medicine we say your physical body and your mental construct or your feelings are not separate. This is one system. So everything it's in you already.
Yes.
So the symbol green and the organ liver in Chinese medicine is connected with, now I need to read it in English that I say it right. It's a liver, it's connected with anger, rage, and fury. So these are the expressions of fear in the Chinese medicine. So if you have a lot going on in your life with anger, rage, and fury,
Yeah.
that energy starts to manifest in your body. Imagine all that electricity goes always in, and the manifested energy can become a blockage. It can either produce a tension in your muscle or in your organs, or it can produce, either it produces a tension or it produces an inflammation.
Yeah, and which is awful.
Which is awful. And inflammations are one of the biggest points why people get heart attacks, why people get high blood pressure, why people get all sorts of healthy symptoms.
Everything. Yeah, it's the source of all disease, right?
Arthritis, it's all about inflammation, the ongoing long-term inflammation in your body. And something was a cause and something is an effect. And the effect could be, and like the liver in Chinese medicine, this is a typical executive organ, which the most executives or managing people have tension in that, because obviously anger, rage, and fury, it's a lot what we have to deal with, the whole day, all the time. And so a typical point of a typical part of your body which reflects that, it's your neck. Pain in your neck, a lot of pain in your neck, and you can't get rid of that neck pain at all. Even if you massage it, you can massage it and it gets better, but it always pops up and comes again. So this is a physical manifestation of energy in your body, or it can it can have an impact on your blood. The quality and the amount of blood that you have in your body, which has an impact, for example, on your balance, on becoming dizziness, on your sleep, for example, or the quality and the recovery in your sleep, and your eyes, how good you can see, or how much you get problems with your eyes seeing proper. This has to do with the quality of your liver in Chinese medicine. It has to do with the quality of your liver, and then we work on that quality of the liver. And what's so on one side we have the mental, the emotional connection with the liver, which is anger, rage, and fear. And now the opposite.
Antidote.
How do you say?
The antidote. So maybe the
antidote.
Solution.
Yeah, exactly. The good emotional antidote.
Response.
Response is in emotional is calmness and silence. Calmness and silence. So if we develop and cultivate and try to make situations which we can produce calmness and silence, Ruhe und Gelassenheit, we say it in German, then you work, you do something good for your liver, and you get rid of anger, rage, and fury. So this is the antidote, the mental antidote. And as we know, thoughts have an impact on your feelings, and feelings have a direct impact on your cells. And all the cells, if they work in the right direction, they can make you healthy and get rid of tension in your body, or can get rid of inflammation or not. This is not a Western explanation. This is an explanation from Eastern medicine, which is an energy explanation.
You want to run us through quickly the other elements, just for an overview?
Then we have the heart, the symbol of heart, which is summer, stands for summer, and the heart stands for love. As how it could be else. The heart stands for love, which we have a lot of love in our life or develop situations. It's not about love, the sexual love, that also maybe, but also the love that we have, the all over the love, the love. The point is of love. And the negative emotions are jealousy and greed and envy. Jealousy,
envy.
Greed, envy.
Eifersüchtig.
Those are the negative.
Oh, that's jealous. Yeah, envy is, I forgot what envy is in German, but I think.
Neid, Gier und Eifersucht in German.
Yeah.
So those are those qualities. And then we have the center organ of or the symbol of the center is the yellow one, which stands for the stomach. The stomach. And the stomach, the quality, or the stomach or spleen, stomach and spleen, both are the center. And the stomach stands for the difficult or negative energies for the stomachs are worries and brooding.
I believe that.
Brooding about something all the time
Yeah.
and worrying, be worried about everything all the time. It's not a normal, healthy being worried about something. It's being worried all the time about every situation. Right now, it's a good combination, the COVID, all the thing.
Yeah.
Situation. So
no shortage of things to worry about.
It produces a lot of worries, and that worries weakens the stomach and the spleen. And
it produces negative hormones, right? Too.
It produces negative hormones, and those things can make up that also your belly blows up.
Yeah.
Really physically, that your belly start to blow up.
I think I have that.
Or you can eat whatever you want and you still feel kind of sick in your stomach.
Yeah.
So you're not centered, as we say in Chinese medicine or in martial art. You're not so centered. So you work on the stomach area, and it's done also the mental connection to that. It's also confidence and serenity. Confidence and serenity. Zuversicht und Heiterkeit. Confidence and serenity. So you add those topics into your system. Then we have the lungs. The lungs, which stands for pain and grief. So the negative emotions for the lungs are pain and grief. If you had situations which you had pain or grief, even in your past, which is maybe in your subconscious mind, holding it there. So then that can produce also problems in your body. And the opposite emotions, the antidote are fresh air and freedom. Freiheit und frische Luft. So going for a walk, it's the best you can do for the fresh air. And the feeling of freedom, as right now, this is really a problem right now, because right now we don't have the mental capacity of freedom, because you can't travel, you can't fly, you can't do this, you have to wear the mask, you have to do all the stupid things to help, of course. And I don't want to say anything about it. So
but it's true. It is, whether or not you agree or not, it's an inconvenience at the best.
It's unpleasant, and it has nothing to do with your freedom. So, and that's something, an emotion inside of you. So that's for a lot of people right now. Also the lungs, the concept, the energy concept of the lungs are very strong into problem. And that gives you a lot of tension in your body, and closes your position a lot, for example, and makes you a little, how do you say this, verbissen, a little bit mental, as physically tense and mentally. Sort of a little bit narrow-minded.
I didn't know that.
Narrow-minded and stressed about a lot of things very quickly. So you drive on the street and the people horning all the time about every little thing, they're freaking out about everything now. And this has to do a little bit with the lungs, with the quality of the lungs.
Well, there's nothing like a walk, though, I have to say. A walk can fix so much. I mean, just honestly, brings
you back to freedom and fresh air. And then we have
all the Karens out there need to take more walks.
Then we have the last one, which is the kidney.
Kidney.
The kidney and the bladder. The kidney, the negative quality of the kidney, and now we come to an important one, is fear. So if fear is something in your life that you have all the time, the energy of fear, it can really wreck your whole system up from inside. So if fear is a negative energy which comes up all the time, consciously or mostly subconsciously, don't forget this, mostly the people not aware of that, consciously, the fear that can destroy the whole body of you. And now the antidote is trust and courage. Vertrauen und Mut. Trust and courage. So if you develop that mental state of trust and courage in your body, then you can really we don't fight against fear. As we said, it's not our enemy, but we transform the energy into a flowing energy of giving us power. So those are the 5 organs and the 5 symbols.
And anybody that wants to look into that deeper can contact you, I suppose. Maybe we just mentioned that. Do you work with people remotely as well, or do you only physically work with people in Switzerland?
No, I also work remotely with people, because whatever whatever topic or goal they have,
Yeah.
you can do that.
This
I
can be
can
done
advise them. I
over.
can
Yeah.
advise them over Zoom or FaceTime.
Yeah.
Can
Well,
do the phone.
I have all the connections to your website, all the links and things like that. But I just thought maybe it's a good point to say, we don't have time to cover it in depth here, but these are really important. I'm learning through this conversation, points for us to take on board if we want to live long, healthy, happy life, that these are ways that we can, I don't want to say fix it, but like you said, transform the way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a better phraseology.
Absolutely. It's not about fixing, it's about transforming. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Good. Okay. And shall we kind of move on to the super learning session? So the next episode is getting curious and investigating. So I guess we could do this.
That's perfect for that.
Is that perfect? So we could do where we're okay. So we'll move that into
Absolutely.
the next episode, because I think what we covered here on the fear, and then of course looking at fear both from Western and Eastern philosophies was quite valuable.
Yeah.
And so we will take those learnings now and apply them into the what I call the Sherlock Holmes episode, which is where we're going to get curious about ourselves, investigate, and then run through the super learning session so that we can experience.
We can use that knowledge that we have now and we can experience it the next series. And there so we can use the symbols and the quality, the antidote, like trust, freedom, confidence, and we can use one of those, calmness, and using that for our super learning method and transforming it. And we can do it also. I can do some next time with all of you guys, and kinesiology test with you guys. Normally I do it one-on-one with someone in my practice, but we can do also a test which everyone can do over online.
Wow,
Zoom,
cool.
when he sees it. So we can test if that word, the quality that you have chosen, it's really the quality that your subconscious really wants to work on, not only your conscious mind. What your subconscious mind really wants to work. You can test that with the kinesiology test, which is a muscle function test. I always use to test those things. And then we can make the super learning session.
Okay, that sounds good.
Curious.
Muscle function. Okay, so we'll do kinesiology. And just so I can draw a link between what we've just discussed and the super learning session we'll do. Are these at all part of that super learning session? Are you running through this with everybody? Or no, this is just one area where you're helping people identify points in their life that they might need to transform or address. And the super learning is just something different entirely.
I always use that the organs as an analyzing where you are right now and what are maybe the most important topics. I use that organ concept, but it has nothing to do with the super learning session by itself.
It sits on its own.
It sits on its own. We can do it. It's an own standalone method. It's a standalone method. Has nothing to do with anything else. So someone can come and has nothing to do with the Chinese hocus, whatever medicine, and just tells me one or two things that he has. And out of that, I can make a super learning session with that.
So one more time, how specific should we get with our, what would you call it when we go into the super learning? What would you call that? Is it a statement? Is it something we want to work on? How specific should we be? Like, is saying you want to lose 10 kilos really the most specific way to address that? Or is it more like, like for me, the vulnerable part of my body that I'm most insecure about is my stomach, is my middle section. And even when I was younger and quite thin, the stomach was always a weakness point for me. So, and I suspect that my anxiety over the years and my higher blood pressure have contributed with the, cortisol hormone. I'm not saying it's exactly that, but I think that is where I notice for me a weak point in my body. So if I go into the super learning, am I just focusing on shifting into this, phraseology of these really positive adjectives? Or am I, do you know what I'm saying?
Remember, it's something that has nothing to do with the conscious mind, so we should not
Right.
think too much about that. So we try to find the quality that you need to have, and remember cause and effect, the quality that you need to have and nurture in your mind body system that you need to have to get rid of the symptom. So now the question is, would that be for you more calmness? Do you need to implement more calmness in your life? Do you need to implement more love in your life? Do you need to implement more confidence? Do you need to implement more freedom? Or do you need to implement more trust? For example, those are few words that I'm giving for now, or maybe it's anything else, but it needs to be something that's a quality of something, not something that you want from here. I want to get rid of this or rid of that. It's a quality that you need to have in your system. And if you have that quality, the result out of that quality is that you become more, that your blood pressure goes down.
Okay. But you had also mentioned something about using these very descriptive words, I want a really tight, awesome, firm butt, like whatever. We should go into the super learning with a very clear, positive, but not maybe positive, but specific kind of.
You can do it in a different way. You can do different things. You can do different things. You can do affirmations, which are connected with this positive description, which is that it's another exercise. It's something else. Or you can do the super learning method that I want to do now.
Yes.
With you guys, which is we choose a quality, an energy quality that we need to nurture and develop in our system. Which helps us to achieve whatever we need to achieve. It's more a deeper quality that you need to develop, not something that we need to do. Something that we need to become.
Okay. Well, I'll write up the blog post from this and I'll put this in there. So people can have a look at that and read about that and study that, because I think that's quite interesting.
And maybe choosing one out of that and seeing how that feels. Or maybe choosing 2 or 3 and testing it with the kinesiology test. And then seeing what word, what quality of the word connects the best with you, with your subconscious, not with your conscious. With your conscious mind, you maybe think, it's calmness for me. And your subconscious mind says, no, it's not calmness. It's more freedom. Or it's more trust. You need to trust in yourself. If you trust in yourself, then you are able to do whatever you need to do. You are able to calm down your system more, or whatever it is. Now I'm playing around, but so that's why we're testing it then. Okay, good. All righty. So we will do that then. That's our plan. We're being flexible because we want you to get the most out of these 6 sessions. Absolutely.
And I think based on what we've learned today, that's a logical thing now to do, is to put the super learning session a little bit more on its own with some context around getting curious about yourself, which is, does make sense actually to try and address that in that session.
And we can do in the last session, in the 6th session, we can do something like, as you asked before, like the description, something of the
description. Okay.
The description for the other technique, for something that's an affirmation, then something that has also an impact on your subconscious mind. So you can work with different methods.
Yeah, and I guess different people will prefer one way over another. I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Good. And then in the 6th session, we'll also talk about on the intellectual side of putting intellectual importance of putting together your own personal board. And we'll talk about, we'll end the whole session on that because I really like that concept. I really, really like that concept.
It's very
all right.
Important.
Good. Then I wish you a great day and everybody listening a great day. And we will be back soon with episode 5, where we will dig deep into these principles with super learning.
Thank you and namaste and see you soon.
See you soon.